Straight from the horse's mouth, money is no issue for us. What do you guys think about David Rubenstein's comments today to the Baltimore Banner and other several Baltimore beat writers down in spring training complex? Rubenstein has talked to Yahoo Sports about, potentially getting some kind of cap in Major League Baseball because other sports have it and other players are happy with it. And some Baltimore fans hear this and they get a little uneasy, so to say. They're worried about like him wanting to spend money and this and that. And you hear this comments today. Money's basically no object to this team. They're not in debt. They have a good amount of money, and it's no issue. If they want to go out and spend it, they will. And, some people quickly took, some shots at Mike Elias about that for not going out and signing people in free agency this offseason. But David really kind of went into depth in some of this, and he touched on the Max Fried contract. You have a 30-year-old pitcher looking for an 8-year deal. And he brought up the Steven Strasburg issue. If you give a bunch of money to this guy and he gets hurt and he can never play again, like you're on the hook for that for 7 more years, just like the Nationals were. Like they take a lot of this into consideration according to some of his comments here. And I really like this comment here. He basically goes into saying that Mike Elias knows more about baseball than I do. And during the offseason, almost every single day that we were kind of talking about certain things, certain players, and I learned a lot from him. Mike is very numbers oriented as he should be. He's got a lot of great sabermetrics kind of team. So what he doesn't say here, here's a player, we can sign him for 7 years. The economics show we're going to lose X amount of dollars because he's not worth it, but we'll make somebody happy on the first day that we announce it. And that's not his way of doing things. He wants to make sure he pencils everything out, and he can pencil out how many games we're going to win that year, what the players are likely going to do. And it's just amazing to see how accurate in these things, and I'm very fond of what he's able to build. And This took some people on Twitter and other social media sites in different ways. Listen, me personally, I like that Mike Elias operates in this kind of fashion. I understand, you give a guy a 7-year deal and in years 5, 6, and 7, he's not any good. But if you win a World Series in years 1, 2, 3, or 4, it kind of all makes up for that dead money when he's just not any good. I completely understand that. And the argument is, well, the Yankees do it, Boston does it, LA does it. Well, listen, those teams they've been profitable for many, many years. The Orioles showed a profit, just last year, right before the sale, kind of like what you have to do before a sale. You got to show a kind of a profit. So you're looking at a team that's been profitable for, 1.5 years. Not saying that they weren't profitable prior, but they didn't have a huge pool of money. The team is in a good position right now. And in maybe another year or two, they can start taking those kinds of risk. But expecting this team to take that risk in year 1, even if it might pay off, it's just a tough ask for a businessman. And he goes into it in other quotes here, and I'll put it up on the screen. They're looking to still turn out a profit every year. And that means that they're not going to just go out and just dump a bunch of money out there. Like they're still looking to spend money wisely while still making money. It's just what a smart businessman does. Now, you can take that any which way you like, whether they're just content with maybe just winning a couple playoff games. They're not really serious about winning a World Series. But I mean, in the dead reality of it, I mean, billionaires make their money by making money, not by losing money. So they're not going to just do things and make decisions that's going to cost the team any money, especially in year 1. I just think expectations have been a little high this year for David, and they've been really high for Mike Elias. And I get it with the whole liftoff comments and whatnot. It's really hard to convince people to be patient, but it is year 1. They're navigating themselves through year 1. Now remember that sale for the Orioles did not become official until June. So we're really not even through a full year just yet with David Rubenstein owning the Orioles. So I'm encouraged by hearing some of this from him, that money is no object. He had a lunch today with Gunnar and Adley. He said it wasn't business. This was just a social lunch. Those conversations are happening. And as a fan base, look, I understand we want to expedite the process and we want, to throw a parade here. We want to win a championship and we want it to happen as soon as possible because we just haven't won. We've been embarrassed 2 years in a row in the playoffs. I completely get it. I really, really do. I completely get it. I feel like they are trying. They really are. When they make comments like this, like, okay, money is no issue. When the right guy falls to us, we're going to make the move. They're saying the right things. Now, nothing has worked out. Now, there's a quote here in the Baltimore Banner article as well. Rod Rubenstein was signing autographs and he took photos with fans attending Monday's workout in Sarasota. One fan asked Rubenstein if he could loan the owner a few dollars to help with a deal to lock up shortstop Gunnar Henderson. Rubenstein politely smiled. It's not always that easy. And it's really not. I see a lot of people quickly point to the Bobby Witt situation. There's a difference when Bobby Witt's father is negotiating the contract and super agent Scott Boras is negotiating the contract. It's a big difference. And look, the Orioles are kind of in a hole with that. I mean, you got Jordan Westberg, you've got Jackson Holliday, and you've got Gunnar Henderson, all represented by Scott Boras. So to get a deal done early, it's not impossible, but as Rubenstein says, it's not always that easy. They can throw a big money in front of them. And, something that we would all look at and be like, holy hell, like, he's got to take that. Scott Boras is that kind of guy that will say, no, let's wait, because that number's only going to go up because you're a good player. That's the difference between Bobby Witt's father doing it and Scott Boras. So this quote here from David Rubenstein, in my opinion, it's perfect. It's not always that easy. The Corbin Burns situation, perfect example. They wanted to give him a lot of money. They wanted to retain him. They offered him a lot of money. And he still chose to go back home because other options. It's not always that easy. He had an opportunity to be around his newborn kids, be within 20, 30 minutes of his home, go home all the time in spring training, and he gets an opt-out after 2 years if they don't win. It was a no-brainer for Corbin Burns to take that deal. That's not a knock against Mike Elias or David Rubenstein. They tried, and Corbin even admitted that they tried. They didn't present things, in paper to him. He admitted that, but that's fine. Like he didn't agree to anything. Why would they send him any kind of paperwork? But listen, let's give David a little bit of time. Let's give Mike a little bit of time. I see some people are ready just to get rid of Mike right now. They don't think that he's the guy to lead the team. He can build a foundation. They don't think that he can, build the walls up. And by what that means is make the hard trade or sign the big free agent. Listen, I'm going to be completely frankly with you. Would have Bregman worked here? I don't know. What do you do with Jordan Westberg? What do you do with Jackson Holliday? Now, I get you're bringing in a proven leader, but you also have two players that still have 5 and 6 years control. What are you doing? Are you pissing them off with the same agent, Scott Boras? You piss off one, you're pissing off two, right? You expect both of them to be key contributors to your team. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Jordan Westberg's a better defender than Alex Bregman. Jackson Holliday was taken 1 of 1. He's a super freak athlete. Could he grow into a superstar? Yeah, but he's not going to do it if he's, 1, not playing his position, and 2, just not getting at bats. 20 years old or not, like that's just how it works. So could they have signed Pete Alonso? Sure. But when you really look at Ryan Mountcastle's numbers the last couple of years, he's a more complete hitter than Pete Alonso. Pete's just got a lot of power, but runners in scoring position and whatnot. And defensively, Ryan's a better player. Anthony Santander. They feel like, they drafted Heston Kjerstad number 2 overall in 2020. He's had a lot of health issues getting to this point, but they feel like that he is a better player. So in their eyes, there wasn't really enough out there this year that fit what they want to do to go out and spend a ton of money on. So they sent out 1-year deals. I've got no issue with that because eventually, the arbitration numbers for Cowser and Gunnar and Westberg and Holliday and Adley, they're going to balloon. Like this is going to be a top 10 spending team just with their own players in arbitration because they're all that good. It's not often that a team has this many players pan out. The Orioles have been very fortunate, and they still have more on the way. Kobe Mayo, Sammy Basayo. They don't have room for him right now. So I understand a lot of people think that Mike is just trying to win from within. You can possibly do that with this organization. There's a lot of pitching on the way. A lot of pitching is on the way. Bowie is going to be absolutely loaded this year. So you're a year or two away of having 3, 4, maybe 5 guys ready to pitch at the big league level. Then what do you do? Imagine if you had to trade away good pitching because you just don't have room for it. The Orioles are heading down that road too. So it's easy to look at things a certain way at the surface, but like Rubenstein says, it's not always that easy. There's a lot that goes into all of this. And I just want to preach, just be a little bit more patient, just a little bit. Now, if Mike Elias goes out there and really bombs this trade deadline, I think then we have a problem. Then we have a big problem because right now there's been players that have been identified as available, for the right price. Obviously, we're not just give away Kobe Mayo. We're not just give away Heston Kjerstad, and we're not going to give away Bradfield and Beavers and whatnot. These are quality players. So, but if a good pitcher, rises itself at the trade deadline, and we miss out because we didn't want to give up, like Creed Willems or something like that, I think then we have a serious issue with Mike Elias. But right now, I think he's done a fantastic job. Whether you agree with me or not, that's completely fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But either way, let's just have a great season for the O's, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.